Mark, welcome to the Run 247 stand at the London Marathon 2012. You're here to talk about Hoka.
Yeah.
This sort of very and I've looked at it quite strangely because I'm trying to work it out, but you've got an off-road running shoe here, and you've got a road shoe here. The company's called Hoka. Tell us just a little bit first about the company and how it was established.
Yeah, the Hoka is a French company. It was established in 2000, and it's taken quite a few years to kind of come to market to the scale that it is now. It was started by two gentlemen, Nicolas Mermoux, who's an ultra-distance runner, and Jean-Luc Dayard, who at the time had just moved from the shoe and clothing company Salomon. So a really good pedigree in terms of background and knowledge and experience that were brought to the company. The whole kind of thought processes behind Hoka came from a race that finished coming down the side of Mount Etna. And the guys in the race were actually running down the kind of cinder fields down the side of the mountain. And when they got to the bottom, the stresses that were taken off the body by the action of running down the cinder field, they felt as though they kind of had this epiphany and they wanted to recreate that process for runners because it was just so good. So the analogy that I use for guys kind of here that have never run down, like me, that have never run down a cinder field, is it would probably be very, very similar to running down one of our sand dunes, in that you kind of get a heel plant, nice, comfortable, kind of rolling action.
Takes away a lot of the impact and the knees as well, I guess.
Absolutely, and that's what they wanted to do. So they wanted to create a shoe that generated that whole kind of process without taking the terrain into consideration.
Just talk me through this shoe, which is the off-road shoe. Explain a little bit, because I'm sort of looking at it and going, "Whoa, that's a bit flat to what I would be used to."
It's when you say flat,
as in the whole shoe just kind of looks. There's not a lot of bend in it.
No, there isn't. There's quite a lot of over what would be a traditional off-road trail shoe. This shoe has 2.2 times the amount of EVA in the midsole. So it has a heck of a lot more. So you're talking about 2.2 centimeters of EVA over so we're not picking a particular shoe to take that measurement against. The rocker that's actually built into the midsole comes into play when the shoe is in use. If you are a heel striker, when you actually get the compaction of the heel, the foam in the heel, you pick up the rocker that's in the shoe. So you've got a 50% rocker. So if you took the transition in a normal running shoe, you'd have heel strike, you'd get midfoot, so you'd get a kind of a flat spot in the midfoot. Then the shoe would flex and you'd go through the toe off, the full transition process. With a Hoka shoe, you get compression at the heel, you go pick up the rocker right through the shoe. There's not as much flex in this shoe as there is in a normal shoe, but the rocker just allows you to kind of roll forward, just aids the transition process. That in itself saves energy as well. At the same time, you've got the compression of the foam in the midsole, saving energy again. You get feedback from the ground, but you don't get that underfoot hammering that you get on rough technical terrain that these shoes are designed for.
Where did the name Hoka come from?
It's a Maori name. Hoka 11, if you take a literal translation, means time to fly. So if you take the coming down the side of Mount Etna at a rate of knots, feeling really, really good, kind of, exhilarated, basically. I don't know why it was a Maori term, but it's time to fly. And that's what you do in the shoes, effectively.
Well, time to fly. This is the road shoe that obviously the runner's going to be looking to run quite a lot faster. Yeah.
This one down, obviously specifically for the marathon. So the upper is a narrow fitting upper, as in the Stinson Evo, which you would expect in a road shoe. So it's a nice close fit. You've got slightly less EVA in the midsole. So you've got 1.8 times the EVA over a normal, what would be a normal road shoe. You sit slightly lower in the shoe as well than you do in the trail shoe, but it's got less EVA. The outsole isn't as aggressive, and it's got a slightly higher percentage of carbon for the wear and tear that you get on the aggressive terrain that would be tarmac.
Would this actually be a shoe that would be a marathon shoe, or is this a training shoe rather?
This would be a training or a race shoe completely. It only weighs 280 grams, even though it's as bulky or appears as bulky as it is. So you get all the benefits of the cushioning with no weight penalty whatsoever for a road runner running 26 miles as they will this weekend. And we've got people racing this weekend in Hoka, actually in the trail shoe as well as the road shoe, because some people...
Wow, why would someone opt to wear the trail shoe for a marathon?
No particular reason. They seem to prefer the fit. The fit of the upper is slightly different, and you've got the speed lacing in this one with slightly more cushioning. So it will then come down to personal preference. The only potential downside to using the Stinson Evo on the road is you've got a slightly higher rubber content in the outsole, so it may wear down with the regularity of the running on tarmac.
And you're based up north, you mentioned earlier, up
Yes.
towards the Lake District.
In the lakes,
Lovely.
absolutely.
So you're a runner yourself?
Yeah, I'm an ultra-distance runner. That's my sport, so I kind of bring a lot of knowledge. I came into the brand from a race that I did in Italy a couple of years ago, and I wanted to find out more about the brand, kind of came into it, and then kind of things changed for me, and I'm now working with Hoka, actually selling Hoka shoes to retailers in the north of England and Scotland.
So would you venture out onto the road to run a marathon?
I road run from a training, but my love is being on the trail and in the mountains. Absolutely, yeah.
And will you be around to cheer some of those guys on Sunday that are going to be running the London Marathon?
Yeah, unfortunately we pack up on Saturday night and we are away because I've got appointments on Monday morning where I need to go and see people with the shoes.
So the shoe's taking off?
The shoe is very... The entire brand has got a very quickly increasing following of people. We've been quite surprised by the amount of interest that we've had here at the London Marathon, because it's not necessarily known as a road shoe brand. Predominantly it's trail. So yes, it's taken off, and there's more and more retailers and more consumers coming on board and understanding the technology.
Yeah, well, good luck, Mark. It looks like you've got a great product, so we'll look forward to hearing more from you in the future.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your time.